What other secrets are going to be discovered? Welcome back. This is Sean's Take on Things. I am Sean Redmond, and today my take is on Death and Other Details, Episode 2. If you haven't seen the episode, this is your spoiler warning. From here on out, there will be spoilers, and I will be using clips from the show, as is allowed under the fair use provision of the copyright laws of 1976. So for right now, sit back, relax, and let's unpack Episode 2, Death and Other Details. I will be covering all of the episodes in this series, so why not hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes? And if you like these videos, go ahead and give them a thumbs up. All right, here we go. At the end of Episode 1, we found out that Keith Trubinsky was really Danny, and Danny was Rufus's partner when Rufus was investigating Imogen's mother's death. So that was pretty big. I didn't see that one coming. Did you? Be honest. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the first video, but the character of Imogen Scott reminds me a lot of the character of Beatrix Kiddo from the Kill Bill franchise, the Uma Thurman character from Kill Bill. Do you see it? Let me know in the comments. What do you think? So we do see in flashbacks that it was, in fact, Danny, Rufus's partner, that sort of kept him going after his failure to completely solve Imogen's mother's death. And it was Danny that kept him in the game, because the game never ended. And it was Danny that brought them to the ship for this adventure. So Rufus decided to question all of the potential suspects, which is everybody. But what he was doing was developing a timeline of when the murder could have happened and see who was likely. So Rufus also has the idea that this murder of Danny and the murder of Imogen's mother, Kira, are related, or at least as much as they are related to the Collier Mills Company and the Collier family. So he's hoping to get information on both and maybe solve both. So Imogene is tasked with getting a look at the Collier's books, which is what Rufus had asked during the investigation of Kira's death when Lawrence Collier ended the investigation. It's important to keep in mind that Rufus didn't fail in finding Imogen's mother's killer. He was stopped by Lawrence Collier. We'll probably learn more about that throughout the season. The only person that can give Imogene access to those books is, of course, her friend, Anna. We find out that the priest lied about when he met Keith/Danny, and that it was, in fact, he that introduced Keith to the governor when she was getting her B12 injection. So Rufus also, when he interviewed Layla, he treated her a little differently than he treated everybody else. She did go through an quote-unquote incident, a thing that she never considered to be an accident, which is when she became paranoid. So, and it was Layla, if you recall in episode 1, she recognized Danny, as Keith, as someone who had been following her, and she named several places. So she's pretty observant, because it probably was Danny. But I don't know that Layla, and I don't think Rufus thinks that Layla killed Danny. Rufus did suspect that Trip has motive in that Danny was posing as an investor into Trip's new venture, and they had the argument that Keith was backing out. And we know that the bar cart that the murderer hid in was ordered from Trip's cabin. There was a woman with an American accent, which would be the governor. And she didn't like Trip when he said, she didn't like Keith when he said that he wanted to donate to her, but he needed to see everyone else that had donated to her election. I don't know that that's enough for her to kill him or have him killed. So we do realize that the governor was spending time in Trip's cabin. We do find out that Trip was one of the governor's big donors. And maybe that's what Keith was looking for, Danny. And the fact that they were having an affair isn't looking very good for the governor either. We do find out that the owner of the boat, Sunil, not very good with that name, that he spotted Danny trying to break into his office, and then when he confronted him, he pretended he was drunk and had the wrong door and went away. Rufus discovered that Sunil has a hidden safe in addition to the one for the boat, he has one hidden behind a painting. So he's hiding something. Excuse me. So he is hiding something. And we did see evidence that possibly the Collier's lawyer exchanged money with Teddy, maybe paying Teddy to perform the deed. Rufus assumed, which is dangerous in an investigation, Rufus assumed that Keith was killed to keep the Chun-Collier deal together. Because the Chuns were correct. The Colliers are fundamentally bankrupt, and they need the infusion of cash to keep afloat. So Catherine, the matriarch of the Collier family, appears to hold and wield the real power within the Collier family. Everyone assumes it's Lawrence, but everything we've seen suggests there's probably things we do not yet know. And towards the very end of this episode, the Interpol arrives in the form of Agent Hilda Erickson, and she has a couple of statements about Rufus right away that suggest that maybe she's not a fan. Although what she did say was that he determined the timeline and kept all of the suspects up all night being questioned. We'll have to see what she actually means. So that's it for this episode. What are you thinking so far? Do you like these characters? At least the ones we're supposed to like. What do you think actually happened to Kira Scott, Imogen's mother? And do you see the comparison I made between Imogen and Beatrix Kiddo? Let me know what you think in the comments. Other than that, that's a wrap on this one. I'll see you next time. I'm Sean. This is Sean's Take.